Jim here, Jim's Hot Rods and Beyond. I'm going to show you the C4 transmissions taken apart. Now, I'm going to give you a couple little hints, because this was a learning curve for me, because I don't really do too many of these. I'll mostly just Chevys. But this one's actually pretty simple. So after I clean the case, except the tail shaft, blah blah blah, come to find out I think it's just a clutch pack in there. They're all fried. So I didn't dismantle it and film it at the same time, so I'll give you a rundown. Okay, so first off, clean it. Second off, I took the valve, basically the oil pan, the valve body. I took that off first. Second, I took off the pump shaft that just slides out of the front. Basically, the pump. This is the front pump. So this shaft comes out of the front pump. Just slide that out. Here's the tricky part. This is why I'm filming this, so people understand what the hell's going on. I'm just going to lay that on the floor. In order to get this front pump out, this is, by the way, this is factory. It's never been rebuilt. In order to get this pump out, like on Chevys, there's usually two holes that are threaded. And basically you just use a bigger bolt, and then it pulls it out, because the end of the bolt will drive against the case. Since this is factory, it's never had that. And there's no provisions to get something in here to drive it out, because you're not gonna hurt the back side of this. It's cast iron anyway, so it's not gonna matter. So what I had to do is thread this one and this one with a 7/16 tap, basically an end tap, which is flat all the way across. Two 7/16 bolts, drove it in, and then just hit the back side of the head and pops it right off. So that was the second thing. Third, so let's see here. One oil pan valve body, filter, and all the screws are going into a bucket, cleaned. Front drive and front pump come out as 3. I took the tail snout, or the tail shaft, whatever you want, the cover itself off. You don't need to, but I took that off fourth. And at the same time, the speedometer gear and the spacer goes on the back side like this. That will slide. I actually slid off on the floor. So be careful of those. Those will come off. My suggestion is leave that snout on until the last minute, because the planetary set will come it'll just fall all over the place. So basically you just pull the drum off. You just pull that, and it comes right out. And then basically just keep everything in a line. Simple. But here's the thing. This has front and rear servos. They're brake band servos. So, in order to get the sun shell out in the planetary, you have to loosen up. They look just like these. You have to loosen these two up on the front. One here and one here. You have a spring, and then you have a nut, an adjusting nut. Kind of like this one right here. You have an adjusting nut just like that. That goes in this hole right here. So I just loosen this up. Now these suckers will fall right out. These will fall right out. They go into here like this, and they just slide right out. And there's one here and one here. This one has an indexing hole because of the end of the nut or the pin. I hope this explains somewhat. I'm not doing the best explaining things because again, I'm trying to keep my mind fresh and clear because I have to put this shit back together, and at the same time you have to inspect all of these machined surfaces. Like in here where the servo goes, you have one single plunger servo with 2 O-rings or seals. This goes in, so you have the front side to the case, and then you have the back side to the cover. So technically that's a double-sided servo. It's not like a Chevy. Chevy has like 3. They have like an inner and outer, and then you have the front case, and then you have the cover. So very a lot more complicated. But anyways, you got to keep an eye on these machine surfaces. If you see scratches, then your case is fucked. Go get a new transmission. End of story. Now, this is what happened to me. I got soaked. This spring is under pressure. And it goes way up in here just like this. Well, I'm holding it like this, and the damn thing, it's been seized on here for, 40-something years. So I'm just kind of tapping it on the sides very, very lightly all the way around the wings here. And all of a sudden, I just basically, there you go. Took all of it. I had to take a shot for the team, you know what I'm saying? So there you go. But this is pretty nice. Damn thing landed on the floor, so I have to inspect that a little better. If I have to get a new one, I get a new one. But looks good. Okay. So once that is all cleaned, that's ready to go back in there. My rebuild kit is in the lacking department. I bought this thing when I bought the van. This is what happens. I believe that this is not a deluxe kit because I usually replace all of the bushings. And this is why my videos, this transmission episode is not going to be as long as it usually is, like a Chevy. Because I don't have any of the thrust washers. I don't have any of the snap rings, the bearing surfaces that basically press inside this right here, the one inside. I don't have any of those. And I also don't have, keep an eye on that, for a 1966, that's steel. That is a steel double-sided seal ring. Now, I don't think I have one of those. I'm going to find out what's going on with that. It looks like that's old school, but I do have a paper one in there. But I'll tell you right now, that was leaking. There was definitely pressure going by that, because if you look inside that oil, see that shit all inside there? Look at that. I don't know what that is. For some reason, it's not metal. I think it's bearing material. Or whatever that shit's made out of. And mostly clutch. Because This is the new frictions. Okay. Now you can see those are pretty, they're pretty generous. Awfully thick, right? Brand new steels. But the clutches in here, or the discs, the frictions, most of them are like totally flat-sided. So I know this thing was spinning for a while. I've always had issues with the transmission going in and out of drive. But the damn thing made it to New York, to New Hampshire, to Maine, back and forth like 3 or 4 times. And I was even told a guy took it to freaking Florida and California. Now, I don't know how true that is, but just to let you know that these things can take a hell of a beating. Now, I'm not going to get involved with taking out the reverse vanes out because, again, I don't have any of the bearings, and I don't have a band clutch, band brake, so I don't have any of those, and there's no cracks on these, so they look pretty nice. I checked the front one. The front one looks pretty good. The rear pump, that will be taken apart, and I will talk about that later, because, and don't think that, oh, hey, there's a hammer laying up against it. That ain't going to hurt this. This stuff is hardened steel. You're not going to mess that up. The only time I ever seen it messed up is my Chevy truck, and I literally had the forward piston grenade, and it totally shattered the shaft. And that thing kept on driving. So this Ford is not that bad. It's pretty good. The first gear basically is pretty good. It's just the drives. Basically just the friction clutches. The Ford transmissions work pretty good. So now these little nuts with the seals on it, that is for your front and rear brake bands. And that's the adjusting nut right there. And this thing has been leaking like a sieve, so I'm guessing because these seals were gone. This front seal for the servo is shit. Let's see if I can turn this on the side. And that's the culprit right there. That O-ring goes against the shifting fork. That thing has been so sloppy. You can see it's slopping. So keep an eye on that. In order to replace that, not only you have this, but inside here you have basically a kick down. It's just a little tiny O-ring, and that O-ring is all dried and crispy. And I just wanted to replace that O-ring and this right here. In order for me to do that, I would have had to take the damn thing, the whole valve body apart anyways. And I bet I could have done that, but enough rambling. So you get the idea. I stripped the case. I'm going to take the servo covers off of the rear because I got to replace the O-rings in there. Plus I'm going to make sure that's all machine surface is good. Let's talk about this here rebuild kit. I forget who processed this, but I believe, okay, so this is the valve body. You do get that. You get the screen, the check balls, you get all that. So that's a good thing. Here's my little gasket. That baby's got to go in there right there. Right there, that's what I'm talking about. That's going to go right in there. And we're going to, and this is a just an O-ring. This is a National or something like that, but it's a double seal front and rear. So we got that. The bands, the sealing bands for the rear are in pretty good shape, but it comes with new ones. These are all brand new steel rings. Okay. Got the rubber rings. You got those. Two side. Don't be fooled. A lot of this stuff is for different transmissions through the year. I checked. Yeah, see, this says 64 to 69, and I bought it in 2008. That's when I bought the van, like the end of 2007, 2008. And I bought this to keep it on the shelf. So here's the only issue that I have. It says 64 to 69 C4. My cover says C5. Now, I don't know what the hell that's all about, but I do see a difference. It looks like the clutch pack's going to be good and the valve body stuff's going to be good, so I'm all set with that. Rings, seals, not good. The front and rear seal, I have no idea what these fit. This looks like a Chevy. Matter of fact, that's a Saginaw. I could check the number on that, and I'm betting you that's a Saginaw or a 350 Chevy, because it looks like the same size, and that's a standard rear seal. This is your front pump. The front pump looks like a winner. So front pump's a winner. Back half seal, not so good. That's a 66 tail. And the bag says 64 to 69. Now, I don't know what the hell's going on there. But that thing is not right. I think this is a Chevy. It's not a C6, because I think that's what this is. I think this is a C6 rear cover, but it's an early. Don't forget, this is a police edition. It's an Interceptor, government. So that the main shaft is absolutely huge. I think it's almost 2 inches, and this is what, inch and I think it's inch 159 or some shit like that. So they got the right grommet in there, but even that's too small. This thing, look at the size of that hole. So that's the issue with these kits. I'm going to have to match that up to a national brand, because the only number on it is no number. It just says NS. So for those that are doing a C4, keep an eye on that. We won't get into the front pump at this moment, because that's the last. The front pump's going to be the last thing I put on, because I got to go through it, and I like to lay it out on blue towels. I'll take brand new blue towels. I'll lay this all out with blue towels, and I'll strip down the front pump. Take care of all the veins. Put the little washers in there, and the little rubber sweeps, whatever you want to call them. But I'm not going to sandblast the case. I'm just going to leave it raw, so you can see the. By the way, there's the number, and it says C5A on it. So, my guess, I'm going to have to do some research on that, because that's weird, because it's in the bucket. What the hell is it? My transmission tag was just like this one. It's in the bucket in there. It says 240/66 C4, but yet the case is stamped C5A. Now, I didn't think Ford made a C5. I don't know. I have no idea. It's a learning curve for me with that one. So if anybody knows, let me know. All right, take it easy. Bye.